welcome to ZipTied. Today we got a lot going on. First of all, between episodes I cut the rocker panels off the bottom of the body. They were very ugly, they were rotted. We don't need them, so off they come. I also cut the springs out of the front of the car because they were way too high, made it look really dumb, and now it looks really cool, except for that was really dangerous.
Don't do that.
Besides that, we have to cut the front end off the car to make way for a new fiberglass piece that we're getting to replace it. We're taking the body off. We're gonna get it ready to get sandblasted. When the body's off, we finally get to see the chassis and what it looks like. I'm very excited for that. And we're gonna be redesigning some aspects about it that I don't like and I really wanted to change because I want that thing to be as pretty as possible. So, without further ado, let's get right into it.
So the first thing we gotta do is we have to save the pop-up lights. So how I'm gonna do all this is I've got two sets of brackets and they go up here like this. They've got little tabs off the side so you can mount like tubes or whatever you want to them, maybe a cat. Make a temporary frame that connects both halves of the headlights together. And then to this portion of temporary frame, once I cut the whole front end off, it'll leave the 2, 3 mounting points for the headlights in place. I'll make a permanent frame for them. Then we can slip the new front end right on top of it, bolt flippy lights right up, and go.
Okay, in here, the dumbest box I've probably ever brought home is the front end for that car. And now we only just gotta unload this thing, which hopefully should be pretty easy. Now just to beat the box apart mercilessly till we get the front end.
So now that it's all unboxed, this is a Sheridan one-piece 914 front end. It is very pretty. It's now made by 914 Rubber, and they do a great job. I mean, I just like the finish on the inside is good. Finish on the outside also very good. They did a great job making this thing, and I'm very, very happy to have it. This is what they look like when they're done. Very, very pretty, and that will look pretty too. The last thing left before the body gets removed is we have to take our brand new laser level and make a mark across the rear bumper where it's going to get cut for the diffuser. Afterwards, the body gets removed and then the body gets sent to go get sandblasted. So I'm redesigning the front strut towers because I do not like their square box shape that they got going on now. I got the one on the passenger side already pre-cut to how I kind of want it to look like, so I'm going to match it on the driver's side, and then I'm going to box them both in so they look really cool and they're going to be very strong. So to continue our redesign of the front end, I have to cut out the tubes that go from the strut towers down to the main chassis rail. Except for when I redo them this time, they're going to actually go from the strut tower that we just redesigned down to the main chassis rail, and it should give it a lot more aggressive and a lot more clean of a look. So in all the videos of building this car, I've never walked you guys through the process of actually building and making and fitting the tubes, and it's actually a really interesting process, and I'd like to show you how it's done. So the first step I take is I try to visualize what it is I'm trying to make. So usually I'll grab a piece of scrap, or I'll try to grab a jack handle, or whatever it takes so you can see what you're trying to build. From there you can kind of get a measurement, and you can hopefully reuse a piece of scrap, or you can cut a brand new piece that's about the right size for what it is you're trying to make. So after I get my piece cut out a little long, I like to mark out exactly where I want that tube to land. So in my case, it was in the center of the upper strut tower, and then where the two tubes meet on the main chassis rail. So now that I know where I want the tube to land, I'll start with the most difficult notch to make first. I'll use an angle finder to find the angle of the notch that I need to make, and then I'll transfer it over to my tube notcher. Now this is just to get me into the ballpark of where that tube needs to be. It's going to have to be final fit later because it's not going to be exact. Then I'll take my tube back to the car and I'll test fit it to make sure that the notch is about right. From there, I'll use a Sharpie and a straight edge to mark the other side of the tube to get cut in the saw. So now's the part that takes the longest. You have to get the tube to fit with no gaps all the way around each joint, and this can take a long time, so you gotta be patient. I like to use magnets and clamps to keep the tube in the same spot every single time you go and test fit it. It's just an easier way of making sure it's always in the same spot. So once the tube fits perfect, I like to do 4 tack welds on each side of the tube to keep it from moving around before I weld it fully out. So oftentimes, now that you got one done, you gotta do 2. So just take your time and be patient and make it right. So now that the front strut tower is looking pretty, we gotta do the same treatment to the rear. I already got some good cut lines on the strut towers, and I also have some pieces bent up. So now we just gotta get to cutting and get to welding. So finally, we get to see what the chassis looks like all at once, and holy crap, do I love this thing. I love basically everything I've done about it, and the things that I don't love, believe me, they're gonna be changed. Number one that I really love is how the roof bars came out. Now that the body is off, you can see that so much better, and it makes this thing look so aggressive. The front turned out great. I really love the look of these strut towers now, and I also love the change that I made up front tube-wise. But that's that, it's fixed, I love it. This, I didn't do a whole lot of explanation, is the jig for the headlights. So this is where the hinge for the headlights goes. This will get a tube between the two. This is where the headlight motor goes. So connect up all 3 of those points and then connect it to the main chassis. All that chassis you see forward of this tube I've got my finger on is getting cut off. So off goes the jig as well. So we need to keep that. The strut towers, again, look way better. I hated those like cube things, and this just gives it enough profile that you can kind of appreciate it. There's work in them, and it wasn't just the easiest, laziest answer like it looked like before. This thing is just awesome. I love this whole chassis. I hope you love it too. This thing clearly is gonna be a bad mambo jambo when it gets going. Thank you for watching. Hope you tune in next time. I love this. This is awesome. Yeah, have a good one.
Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yes.
things.